I beat Pokemon Scarlet with only new dark types. And to make things harder, I added a few extra rules. Here's how it went down. The name's Dark. My friends call me... well, I don't have any friends. What did I just say? Well, there's only one starter here as cold and soulless as I am. Kitty! And with Hades by my side, we're ready to take on the Paldea Region. Let me know who your favorite dark types are down in the comments, and be sure to smash that like button and subscribe if you're enjoying Scarlet and Violet. I have a lot more videos like this one planned. After making quick work of the neighbor kid and her duck, it was finally time to set off on our adventure. This dino bike saves me from a group of Houndours, so I guess he's cool to tag along. Dude, what's your problem? Alright, I killed your squirrel and I'll be taking Koraidon. Pleasure doing business with you. You good there, Psyduck? Anyway, in Mesagoza City, I run into some students with dumb helmets on calling themselves Team Star. Nimona gives me the Terra Orb and then we send the grunts packing. Even though I tell everyone I don't want any part of their quests, I still get roped into all three. I do tell Professor Sada that I'll take care of Koraidon though. Before taking on the first gym, I'm able to add Imp the Nimble and Cerberus the Mastiff to our team. Believe it or not, Katie may actually be the hardest gym we face. Her bugs are super effective against two of my Pokemon, with my last being a bug itself. She leads with Nimble as I send in Hades. I trade bites with her struggle bugs, and since I got a flinch on the second attack, we're able to take the first KO. Sprigatito is very fast, so we're also able to do some chip to Tarantula before it takes our starter down with Bug Bite. Now I send in Cerberus, whose Intimidate is going to be super helpful in this run. After one bite and tanking a Bug Bite, I decide to preserve my pup's HP and swap into Nimble. She outspeeds for an assurance kill, leaving Katie with just her ace Teddiursa. Imp survives the first Fury Cutter and lands a Screech on the bear. Next turn a second Slash lands, and this one is even stronger. My only hope is that Mastiff can outspeed in one shot thanks to the defense drop. I bring in Cerberus, Terrastalize, and then... 1 HP? Are you serious? But we get the 5% chance at a Fury Cutter miss. With that, we can just use one more bite and get our first gym badge. Also, I decided that in gyms I can only Terrastalize against the leader's final Pokemon so that I won't have an advantage. I eat some cupcakes and then head off to Paldea's eastern region where Hades evolves into Florigato, the best Gen 9 starter evolution. Now it's time to dance with Cloth. Wait, I didn't mean literally. The first Titan goes down to a few Terra boosted magical leaves, and then me and Arvin check out the cave it created. We find an Herba Mystica inside, which Arvin cooks up into some sandwiches. When Koraidon gets a taste, it gains the ability to dash, then we leave Arvin to do the cleanup himself as we move on to the second gym at Artizone City. After a bunch of Sunflora drop my frame rate, we come face to face with Brashus, the grass type leader. He leads Petalil as I send out Nimble. I taught my bug Pounce from the TM that Katie gave us, which we use for about 70%. The Bulb Pokemon is able to connect Sleep Powder, so we're forced to eat a Mega Drain before getting the first KO next turn. Now Smoliv comes out, who's only able to land one tackle between pounces as Imp picks up her second knockout. Last is Sudowoodo, which only takes about a third from my Terra and Silver Powder boosted Pounce. Then the tree fires back with a super effective Rock Throw for a kill. Next I go to Mastiff for the Intimidate and get a few bites off to bring Brashus' ace into the yellow. After hitting around 4 Trailblazes, the former rock type outspeeds and finishes our dog, leaving us with only Florigato. Our cat resists everything the opponent can throw at us, so I Hone Claws as Rock Throw hits for 10 damage. Then we tank 2 more as a pair of +1 bites finally finish Sudowoodo off, earning us the second badge. I'm starting to realize a fundamental problem with this team. We're all physical attackers. And if you don't know what the rest of the squad is going to look like yet, I'll just say that problem doesn't go away. But for now, I'll take my picture and be on my way. Now it's time for Titan number 2, Bombardier. As a flying and dark type, this Stork resists pretty much everything I can hit it with, so this may take a while. After losing pretty handedly to the bird, I decide I need a new strategy. I KO some Shinx so I can craft a Thunderfang TM to teach Mastiff. Now it's time for the run back. I lead Cerberus for the Intimidate before an immediate switch to Florigato. Our starter lives through a Rock Throw and a Wing Attack to do a little bit of damage with quick attacks before going down to Pluck. Now I stack another Intimidate with Cerberus and bring in Imp, who's KO'd before she can even attack. I really just needed as many Intimidates as possible before letting our good girl face off against the Stork. Rock Throw does 11 damage and our Thunderfang looks like it'll be close to a 2-shot. I decide to Hone Claws to bring the accuracy to 100% and boost our attack. Then after a second Rock Throw and a Pluck, we finally take the bird down. Arven's Knackley actually put in a lot of work with Smackdown, so we were able to take the Titan out even though we only had one Mon left at low HP. With that, we get our second Herba Mystica. How about we find me a dad before talking about uncles? Koraidon eats the sandwich and can now swim, and we meet Arven's Mabostiff who had a tragic accident and can't be healed. I swear, buddy, me and Cerberus will get you back on your feet. With that done, we can actually fill out the rest of our team. First, I catch Pitch the Pawniard, but he's over our level cap for Giacomo, so he'll sit in the box for now. Then we're actually able to grab the Titan we just beat, so say hello to Lucifer the Bombardier. I'm not sure how common it is to get the Rocky Payload ability, but it basically means this Pokemon has 3 stabs, which is great. Nope, this is not happening. I'm out of here. Time to show the second squad who the real Dark-type master is. I taught Hades low kick before this fight, so he's able to drop Giacomo's Pawniard with 2 hits. Unfortunately, our starter does take a good chunk of damage from Aerial Ace in the process. Against the Starmobile, I get my Intimidate cycle working, and when it starts using Swift, I use a few Snarls, basically rendering any attacks useless. Now I can go back to Florigato and hit a few low kicks to pick up the win, surviving the weakened attacks on 3 HP. Now that we're recognized as the best Dark-type trainer in the region, we have to look the part. I grab the Dark phone case, some sweet fingerless gloves, and the Dark shoes to complete our outfit. Now we're unstoppable. At the next gym's cap of 24, Nimble evolves into Lockix, which I think has a great design. Ah, the influencer showing her true colors. I can only use 4 Pokemon in this fight, so I decide to leave Pawniard in the box for now. We both lead birds as it's Lucifer vs Wattrel. We're able to outspeed and get a one-shot with Rock Throw, putting us up 1 Mon right away. Next is Belly Bolt, which is able to KO our Stork with a pair of Sparks, but she did do around 70% to the Frog with Thieves. Now I can go to Cerberus to weaken Spark, and then I set up 2 Hone Claws. At +2 attack, a single bite has no trouble getting a knockout as Iono goes into her Luxio. Even after Intimidate, we're still at +1, so we bite for around 60% before dropping to some Sparks. I bring in Imp, who gets a lunge kill, which brings out the leader's ace, Mismagius. After terastallizing, the former ghost confuses our bug, but Imp is able to break through and land a Screech. Charge Beam does just shy of half our health, but we hit ourselves in confusion and drop to the next. Mismagius also gets a special attack boost here, so when Florigato comes in, he takes big damage from Hex. Luckily, thanks to Imp's Screech, Terra, and a Miracle Seed, we're able to counter with a single Seed Bomb for the win. With our third badge in hand, it's time to face off against Mela and the Skater squad. I start by having Imp Screech her Torkoal as a sun-boosted Flame Wheel hits back hard and burns our bug. I decide to Screech a second time before going down, which opens the door for Lucifer to hit the field. At -4 defense, a single Rock Throw is able to KO the turtle, so now it's time to focus on the car. Like usual, I Intimidate cycle, keeping Lucifer healthy since she's my win condition. When I finally bring her in, it's looking like we'll take the win, but then a Blazing Torque burns us. Not only does this chip away at our health, it also halves our attack. Luckily, with 4 HP left, she had just enough power to take the Starmobile down and disband another Team Star Squad. Somebody teach this girl how to walk.
It was an Alaskan bullworm!
Too bad for Orthworm, we have low kick. This time we find the salty Herba Mystica, which gives Koraidon the ability to jump higher. Mabostiff also lets out his first rough in a while, so he's on the road to recovery. Then I rob this guy blind and evolve Cerberus into our own Mabostiff. Anyone else notice the arrow on this Pokemon's chin? Yip, buddy. Turns out that old guy is the 4th gym leader and he wants revenge. Kofu uses 3 Pokemon, but I only needed 2 to beat him. He leads Veluza as I send out Cerberus. Our first Thunderfang gets a para as the Psychic Fish hits Pluck for almost no damage. One more Electric Bite picks up the knockout as Kofu brings in his Wug Trio. The triplets get a Headbutt flinch, so we're forced to take 2 before Thunderfang Okos. Last is Crabominable, which takes about 40% from Thunderfang after terastallizing, then finishes Mabostiff off with Rock Smash. A Florigato Terra Seed Bomb is all it takes to finish the crab off and get us another gym badge. Now Lucifer is going to become the team's MVP. I craft an acrobatics TM and give our Stork the incredible stab move. After a handful of losses to Atticus, our Terra-flying acrobatics is a 4-shot on his Starmobile. This battle still wasn't easy though. It took a lot of pivoting and posturing to get Lucifer in a position where she barely hangs on with 8 HP as we pick up the win. From here we grind up the team until Hades evolves into his final form, Meowscarada. With the squad at 36, it was time to take on my favorite gym leader, Larry. His Komala is stuck in the floor, right? Lucifer helps the koala get unstuck with a pair of acrobatics as it yawns our bird between turns. Next is the Dunsparce, who hits 2 hyper drills while we're asleep. Bombardier does around 40% on a wake-up acrobatics, but then goes down to the normal type signature move. I bring in Meowscarada next, as you see my controller was on low battery, and Flower Trick, but it's just not enough for the kill. Glare means we need to take a hyper drill next turn before getting a U-turn knockout and bringing in Cerberus. I forgot Staraptor has Intimidate, so it's back to our starter to unfortunately sack him off. This means I can go back to my boss Tiff to drop the bird's attack, then eat a Facade and fire off a Terra boosted payback for huge damage. After surviving one more normal type attack, we crunch Staraptor to take it out and get ourselves another gym badge. Why do you keep showing up? No. Nothing with you sounds fun. There, I beat you. Will you leave me alone now? Can you not do that math? There's no hope for our future. Now it's time to take on Rhyme, but as a ghost type trainer, this should be a cakewalk. I lead Bombardier and finally send out Pawniard against her Mimikyu and Bayonet. My plan was to pop Mimikyu's disguise with Rock Slide, but the fairy type dodges. At least we get a crit on Bayonet. Then Lucifer is slashed for a bit of damage and Pitch's Metal Claw busts the disguise. The Marionette Pokemon actually uses Icy Wind, so now my bird won't be moving first. After another slash, our Rock Slide takes Bayonet out and then another Metal Claw finishes Mimikyu. Rhyme now sends in her last 2 team members, Toxtricity and Houndstone. The electric type Ghost Terras and then discharges to KO Lucifer and leave Pitch in the red. Since he also got the para, Houndstone is able to play rough to knock us out before we get the chance to attack. Now we're down to a 2v2 as I send in Hades and Cerberus. The crowd gives Rhyme an Omni boost to both Pokemon, which is actually really scary. Toxtricity's Hyper Voice does good damage to my team, and then another play rough from Houndstone takes out Hades. Mabostiff's Terra boosted Crunch does the Undead Dog in, and after I get an Omni boost, so we have even footing with the gym leader. Cerberus is actually faster than Rhyme's Ace, so we outspeed for a crunch and pick up the win. Definitely tougher than expected, but I guess I wasn't taking Houndstone's play rough into account. From here, we backtrack to the Asado Desert to deal with the next Titan, Great Tusk, which I personally like a lot more than Iron Treads. Either way, it just takes a few flower tricks to get the knockout, so it's time for Herba number 4. Koraidon gains the ability to glide, and now there's just one more item on the grocery list. But we'll get back to that later. For now, it's time to challenge Tulip, the Psychic type gym leader. She leads Farigiraf as I send out Lockix. Our bug is able to outspeed the giraffe in one shot with a lunge, bringing out Gardevoir. I swap to Pitch, who I really thought would survive a fairy move, but Dazzling Gleam destroys him. Meowscarada comes in next and gets a crit Night Slash before also going down to the powerful fairy type. Lucifer is faster than Imp, so she's up next and outspeeds the Embrace Pokemon for an acrobatics kill. In a bird-on-bird showdown, we easily come out on top as Bombardier hits 2 acrobatics while tanking a not very effective Shadow Ball. Last up is Florges, and for some reason I thought I wouldn't need to Terra here, so we do good damage, but Lucy drops to Moonblast. Alright Imp, it's all on you now. A quick lunge and we've gotten ourselves badge number 7. For being a Psychic leader, Tulip definitely gave me a run for my money. Before taking on Grusha at the Glaseado gym, I decided to craft a few new TMs. While looking for Crabrawlers so I can make Brick Break, I found this little guy. Let me know what your first Gen 9 shiny was down below. And now it's time for the last gym. Also, everyone knows Grusha is a guy, right? I feel like there's too many people saying her out there. We open with Frostmoth against Mabostiff. I replaced Thunderfang with Firefang, so that's a quick KO off the rip. Cerberus is also able to take Beartic down with a pair of Burning Bites, but Satitan do be thick. An Ice Spin or Ice Shard combo take our Pooch down and I bring in Pawniard. I think I really underrated how well this base form can keep up. He takes a liquidation pretty well and then does big damage with a super effective critical hit Metal Claw. Next turn we rinse and repeat, leaving the snowboarder with only his ace Altaria. Moonblast takes our Steel Soldier down, but Lucifer will avenge him. 2 Rock Slides are able to get the KO, surviving a pretty strong Ice Beam in the process. With that, we've beaten every gym in the region and can pivot back to dealing with Team Star. After beating up on his piano teacher, Ortega comes out to battle us himself. His lead is in Azumarill, which quickly gets taken care of by Hades' Flower Trick. Next is Wigglytuff, which survives the guaranteed crit and charms my cat. I decide to U-turn here, which does literally no damage, and bring out Pawniard. Play Rough does about 50 damage, and on the following turn we outspeed for a Metal Claw kill. Now Darkspun comes out, whose baby doll eyes are annoying to deal with. We get 2 more Steel Slashes off before dropping to the Paystreet Pup. Going back to Meowscarada, our attack is lowered once again, but Flower Trick still does the trick. This leaves Orty with only his Starmobile, which sets up Misty Terrain. The strategy here is pretty similar to how I've dealt with other bosses. After Intimidate cycling with Cerberus, we eventually pick up the win with a Hades Night Slash. While grinding the team up for our battle against the last Titan, Pitch finally evolves into Bisharp. We just witnessed a murder and are totally unfazed. Now that's dark for ya. We drop the Blobfish with Flower Tricks, but then the Sashimi wants to go around with us. Well, that was easy enough. And there you have it, the last Herba Mystica. Now Koraidon can climb vertically, but more importantly, Mabostiff is back in action. Ugh, this scene will never get old. Just like beating up on Team Star bosses won't. Bombardier takes care of Ares Toxicroak, Annihilate, and Passimian with acrobatics. For Lucario, I made a switch to Imp, who axe kicks the Aura Dog for a kill. That leaves the boss with her Starmobile, and look at the absolute carnage that Lucifer causes. Yeah, I'd probably cry too if I just got bodied that hard. Actually not surprised at all that Cassiopeia is the big boss. They want me to meet them in the schoolyard, but I have some other things to take care of first. After giving Pitch the leader's crest that I had Bombardier swipe off this Bisharp and defeating 3 that led a group of Pawniard, we get our final evolution of this run, King Gambit. At level 60, I decide to challenge the Elite Four, starting with Rika, the ground type user. Hades gets off to a great start as we Flower Trick to KO Whiscash. Against Camerupt, I U-turn to Cerberus, who takes about half damage from Fire Blast. Crunch just isn't enough for the knockout, so we end up getting yawned before finishing the camel off. I hard swap Meowscarada into Donphan's Earthquake, taking minimal damage. Then after bringing the elephant into the red with Flower Trick, it actually reveals Poison Jab, which gets us low. Next turn we take our 3rd KO and Rika sends out Dugtrio. Since we're faster, the triplets get decimated, and now it's all down to Clodsire. By terastallizing, the Wooper evolution loses its defensive poison type, so a Terra boosted super effective Flower Trick is more than enough to take the Mudfish down and give us our first E4 win. Next up is Poppy, the steel wielding child. Hades starts with a low kick while Caporaja sets up Stealth Rock. Another sweep gets the KO as Corviknight hits the field. I send King Gambit in, but Poppy starts boosting her bird's already high defense. Then low kick tickles the Raven Pokemon as a 4 times effective body press destroys our king. I bring Lucifer in next to use the neutral Rock Slide for some damage. After another body press, we get a flinch, and with some help from Brave Bird's recoil, can bring Corviknight down to the red before fainting. I thought a Flower Trick would be enough to get the kill here, and I was very wrong. Meowscarada goes down to body press, and finally Imp can finish the bird off with Throat Chop. Poppy's 3rd Pokemon is Magnezone, which takes big damage from Axe Kick before setting up a useless light screen. Next turn Leech Life is enough for the kill, so now it's a 2v2. Throat Chop leaves Bronzong weak, so after the Psychic type lands Iron Head, Lokix gets another KO under her belt with Leech Life. Last is Tinkaton, who has a dual Fairy Steel type, is super effective against my Dark types. I defensively Terra Imp, hoping for a Play Rough, and immediately get rewarded for my actions. But then we miss Axe Kick and KO ourselves. Easy come, easy go. Now it's all on Cerberus to bring this home. I didn't realize we would outspeed, so turn 1 I use Payback, which does a little damage. Now we're hit with Gigaton Hammer, but thanks to Intimidate, it doesn't hurt too much. Mabostiff crunches the Hammer Pokemon as Brick Break does half the health we have left. Narrowly escaping this child's wrath, we outspeed for one more crunch, giving us our second Elite Four victory. Larry's really out here on double duty. Let's see if he's better with flying types than normal ones. He leads Tropius, which takes big damage from Pitch's Kowtow Cleave before setting up the Sun. Due to Chlorophyll, it now outspeeds us, so one Air Slash flinch and a Dragon Pulse later, and we have a knockout. Anticipating a close combat from Staraptor, I go to Lucifer for neutral damage. Unfortunately, we miss Rock Slide and Brave Bird brings us into the red before finally getting the kill next turn. A second crit in a row takes out Altaria, but we miss again as Oricorio finishes our bird with Revelation Dance. Meowscarada is able to drop the Cheerleader with a pair of Night Slashes, but he did take big damage from an Air Slash between hits. Last is Flamigo, who drops its fighting type with Terastallization, so our play rough only does around a quarter. Brave Bird finishes our starter, and then I go to Cerberus for an Intimidate, but find out that in Gen 9, Scrappy blocks the attack drop. Crunch just isn't enough to finish the Flamingo, so after it claims another member of my party, I go to Imp. Unfortunately, we're outsped and Brave Birded for another kill. I know this thing also outspeeds King Gambit and can kill with a 4 times effective close combat, so as I rack my brain for the answer to this puzzle, Larry's Ace feints to recoil damage. Not sure if we'll ever see that one again, but we take those. Time for the last member, Hassel, and his dragons. He leads Noivern, who annoyingly super fangs Bombardier for half her health. What's even more annoying is that she proceeds to miss Rock Slide. Then Dragon Pulse brings our bird into the red as the Wyvern survives Rock Slide on 1 HP. This unfortunately means Lucifer's time is up, but Hades is fast enough to avenge his friend with Play Rough. With Dragalge out next, I swap to King Gambit to avoid a Sludge Bomb. Kowtow Cleave leaves the Poison Dragon with a few hit points left, so after tanking a Hydro Pump, we get KO number 2. I taught our Supreme Overlord Poison Jab to deal with Flapple, but it just isn't enough to kill. After a little Leech Seed recovery, the Apple Dragon rushes us for a bit and then feints to a second Noxious Punch. We're able to live through 2 Haxorus Dragon Claws plus the Leech Seed Lifesteal to get a kill with some foul plays. Last is Baxcalibur, who outspeeds for a Brick Break kill, but we still have plenty of healthy mons to deal with the new Pseudo. After dropping the dragon's attack, Mabostiff does around 70% with Outrage. Thanks to Intimidate, we survive Glaive Rush and can finish this battle with one more angry burst of dragon energy. Hold on, old man, what are you implying here? Anyway, time for Gita. Mabostiff is able to tank Dazzling Gleam pretty well from Espathra and pick up our first KO with a crit crunch. Against Gogoat, I pivot through Pitch to eat Play Rough and then bring in Bombardier on a bulk up. Thanks to that defense buff, the goat survives acrobatics, but instead of making use of its only turn, it bulks up again, so thanks for playing. As La Primera sends in her own King Gambit, I decide to let Pitch prove who the true Supreme Overlord is. We're tickled by a crit Stone Edge on the switch-in, then outspeed for a low kick one-shot. Avalugg takes half damage from the same move, but then our worst enemy, Body Press, comes out and drops King Gambit. Lockix finishes the Iceberg with an Axe Kick followed by Leech Life, tanking Avalugg's second Body Press between turns. I decide to lunge Veluza to lower its attack, but it actually couldn't even survive one hit, so now the champ is down to her ace, Glamora. The Rock Poison type is fairly fast, so Imp goes down to Sludge Wave before getting the chance to attack. As fast as it is, nothing can outspeed Hades, who Terra Flower tricks for the one-shot, finally crowning us a champion-ranked trainer. No, I don't want to be your best rival for life. What even is that? Didn't I just say no?
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
Alright, whatever. I'll battle you again later. Before that goes down, we have some unfinished business at the Academy. Wow, you were Director Clavel all along? Who knew? Guess I have to battle you anyway. Oranguru goes down to a single Kowtow Cleave, then Gyarados does no damage as Lucifer KOs it with a Rock Slide and a foul play. Abomasnow gets Acrobatics for a kill, and then Poltegeist survives on 1 HP to Will-O-Wisp, my bird. Despite the burn, we still knock the sentient Teapot out and can drop a Moongus with 2 more of our flying type flurries. Skeledirge doesn't take much from Rock Slide, then gets a +1 to its special attack from a Torch Song kill. After a crunch from Cerberus, we survive the fire type attack and then finish the Croc with some help from Terastallization. Wow, I actually feel for Arven here. Sada tells us to meet her in Area 0, but first her son wants to battle. Is Greedent not heavy? Low kick does absolutely nothing. We tank a few earthquakes and then Cowtail Cleaves finish the squirrel. Next, Arven shows off his Minecraft skills, building a full Pokemon out of blocks. Garganical survives Ironhead, and then there it is again, our arch nemesis, Body Press. Lucifer cleans up the rock type with Drill Run, then obliterates Scovillain and Toadscruel with Acrobatics. A pair of rock slides drop Cloyster, leaving Arven with only Mabostiff, who recently recovered from incurable injuries. I mean, how did you expect that to go? Of course, we just happen to know 2 people with the traits we need to go to Area 0. I'll be back in a bit. Alright, best rival for life, let's do this. Flower Trick destroys Lycanroc to start, then I let Pawmot KO Lockix with Close Combat and Double Shock. With the loss of its electric typing, Bombardier can wreak havoc with Acrobatics. Goodra also goes down to 2 of the same, but it does hit a hard Ice Beam on our bird. After one more barrage, the Dunsparce puts an end to Lucifer with Hyper Drill. Pitch is able to finish the worst evolution ever with Low Kick and bring Orthworm into the red before going down to 2, you guessed it, Body Presses. From here, it's just a Night Slash followed by a Flower Trick from Hades to finish off the Worm and Quaquaval. One Area 0 exploration member recruited, let's find the second. No, not really. If you pay attention, it's kinda easy to figure out the Penny is Cassiopeia. There's really nothing that exciting about this battle aside from the music. I will say that Penny's theme slaps. After taking care of her team of evolutions, Director Clavel says the Team Star is free to continue to exist and asks them to help him teach Academy students. You can serve a life sentence later, Penny. We have a region to save. Speaking of, nobody told me we were gonna need to fight AI Sada. Lucifer starts strong with a 4 times effective Acrobatics to take out Slitherwing. Screamtail's Play Rough does big damage, and thanks to its bulk, we can't even 2-shot with Acrobatics. I decide to swap into King Gambit to eat the next one, but then I get greedy with Swords Dance, so 2 Drain Punches knock me out and gets the prehistoric Jigglypuff back to full health. 2 more Play Roughs KO Imp, but at least she was able to lunge for 60% and an attack drop. Her sacrifice allows Meowscarada to come in and get a Flower Trick kill without having to take any damage. Fluttermane's Mystical Fire does 75% to our starter, but the sure critical hit move is strong enough to one-shot. Sandy Shocks goes down to the same, and then we hit Brute Bonnet with a Play Rough before dying to 2 Sucker Punches. Since I saved Bombardier, she's able to clean up Amoonguss' ancestor with Acrobatics, leaving the Professor with only Roaring Moon. We're unfortunately outsped for a Dragon Claw kill, and I'm not sure Cerberus has what it takes to finish things here. Just like Arven, I learned to never doubt our doggo as she takes less than half from D-Claw, and a single Outrage is all it takes to settle things with the security system. I'm sure you all know that there's a scripted win in this legendary vs legendary battle, and then the Professor goes into the time machine, shutting it down for good. And with that, we've successfully beaten Pokemon Scarlet with only new dark types. This game didn't introduce a ton of new Pokemon. I mean, I didn't even have a full party for this run. Even so, I'm excited to try types with even less team members and see if we can still pull off this challenge. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on the next one. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.